All right, good evening and welcome to the Mercedes City Commission special meeting of July 24th, 2024. It's 6:30 p.m. And first I will call this meeting to order. Item number 2, I'll establish a quorum. We have Commissioner Garcia. We have Commissioner Dr. Saldana, Mayor Pro Tem. We have Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Howell is not present, but we do have a quorum. Moving on to the invocation, Mayor Pro Tem, if you wouldn't mind, sir.
Sure. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the rain. Lord, we ask that you guide us today as some important decisions are made, that they may be made in the best interest of our community. Bless this community and all who live in it, all our employees. In Jesus Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
Commissioner Martinez, if you wouldn't mind leading us in the pledge, sir.
Sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Just out of practice, we don't have anybody signed up, right? Moving on to ordinance resolutions. Item number 5, present, discuss, consider, possibly take action regarding approving resolution 2024-20 by the City Commission of the City of Mercedes, authorizing and approving the publication of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation, complying with the requirements contained in Securities and Exchange Commission Rule 15C2-12, and providing an effective date. And I just want to do both of them at the same time, Bobby, or you'll present on both, or?
We'll present on both.
Okay, and then item B as well, approving resolution 2024-21 relating to establishing the city intention to reimburse itself for prior lawful expenditures of funds relating to construction, various city improvements from the proceeds of tax exempt obligations to be issued by the city for authorized purposes, authorizing other matters incident and related thereto, and providing an effective date. Mr. Villarreal.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Bobby Villarreal and Don Gonzalez with Estrella and Jose, your financial advisors. Just going to the second one that y'all mentioned, just to explain that one, that's simply, if you guys do go ahead with the bond issuance, you can expend some funds now for things that you may need to get to that are on that list. And then once the funds are sold, then we can reimburse the city, and just using your own cash on hand to get to the things you need to get to. But having said that, if you want to look at the document that we provided you guys, I won't bore you with the first couple pages. That's the market. It's been bouncing around a bit. It's a little higher than it once was, but the Fed may be looking at cuts in the near future. But again, we can't promise anything. I'll go ahead and move to page 4. Just a listing of the outstanding debt bonds that y'all have. If you notice there, you have about 23 million and change in general obligation debt and some revenue debt from 2013 of about $1.6 million. Currently, some of the things that you do have callable in the near future, their coupons are pretty low rates, so there's really very little opportunity for refundings in the near future. But having said that, if you keep going, we'll skip over page 5. And right now, page 6, this is just a snapshot of where the city stands currently. Right now, you levy an INS tax of about 27 pennies per 100 to pay the current existing debt that you have. You have about 3.2 annually that you pay, and it's self-supporting from the utility and other funds that net out to about 2.27 million a year. And again, you'll notice there on column G, progressively as the years go on, it'll drop over time. Right now on column B, we have about 881 million as the preliminary tax valuation from the appraisal district. You'll know, I believe tomorrow probably is the date they're gonna send the finals in. So we were trying to be conservative on that. These numbers only represent the value of the city that is not being contested. There's a little more out there. I don't know, Don, was it like maybe 80 to 100 million was being contested. So there may be a little bit of a bump there, but again, we wanted to be conservative there. And again, going to page 7, this is just the financing team. And again, Strada Hinojosa, your bond counsel is Norton Rose Fulbright, a gentleman by the name of Matt Lee has been helping us with the city staff to get this going. Again, the city is at currently with a rating of S&P of A+. And again, like I mentioned before, the valuation right now we have is about 881 million. Again, that's preliminary at this point. We'll know tomorrow or the next day, I believe. So going over to page 8, this is the project list that we've talked to Mr. Bettis and Javier about. So we're looking at 7 million in bond proceeds. About 5.7 is going to the utility, and I believe the 973,000 was going to go towards some land acquisition, and then of course the cost of issuance is about 238. And again, some of these projects were, I believe, Mr. Bettis, under a 20% contingency, right? So
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay, and so we go into page 9. You'll notice 3 columns. You'll see fiscal year 24, fiscal year 25, and fiscal year 26. So again, right now, like we mentioned before, the top column, existing general obligation and revenue bonds. So right now in 2024, you're paying about 3.2 million annually in debt service payments. What we're proposing today is projected, the proposed 2024, you'll notice in fiscal year 25, goes up to about 503, 510 a year. And again, going to the bottom column, you'll see the summary of about 3.6 million. In the future, right now, there's some applications that the city's sent to Water Development Board, but for about, I guess there's a couple different ones, but right now, the one that we're projecting right now, we're looking at about $1.4 million on about a $27 million project. Again, this is assuming no principal forgiveness. Hopefully that happens, and if that does, then it modifies these numbers and makes things a little easier for you. But again, the city continues to grow, so we have to prepare ourselves.
Are you talking about the 40 and 30 million?
Yeah.
So we're looking at an impact to us of a 1.7 if those go through?
1.4 just on the clean water. We didn't put the drinking water there just yet.
Okay.
But again,
We haven't been invited on that one.
yeah.
Yeah, the other one so I get, the reason I'm asking is it just seems
Oh,
low, but I mean, that's good. I mean,
Yeah, that was just for that was for the $27 million project.
okay, that's
Oh.
good enough for us.
But again, as these things go, Water Development Board takes a while to get back to you. So it's they are a bit of a task to work through. But again, they're the cheapest, most favorable rates, I guess, right now.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
Stretching
I
them
thought it
out.
was gonna end up in the 4 millions, so 1 point something is a whole lot better than.
just drinking water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
So again, this 503,000, if you go to the next page, page 10. So right now, if you notice in column I right now, column H,
H.
we have a proposed only for this series 2024 of about $503,000 payment projected right now, and then it continues on for about 25 years. And then if you look at column I right now, it says 431 as self-supporting. We actually going to change that to 503,000, so the utility would be on the hook to provide that support. Again, if the utility doesn't clear enough net income, net available revenue to meet that payment, then it falls to the property tax rate.
Right.
So right now, as we see it, we don't anticipate a tax rate increase. So if you look at column K, under that assumption that the 503 is completely self-supporting, then we don't see that we see that 2776 staying level.
Perfect.
And then again, here's a timetable of events. And again, I believe it's being published Saturday, Mr. Pettis?
Yes.
Correct, yes. So again, the rules are that you need to publish in your website of the city, and then it's got to be in the paper 2 consecutive weeks on the same day with the paper of circulation. And again, from that point forward, that allows us by law to sell the bonds 45 days thereafter. So that gets us to approximately September 17th on a Tuesday. So we would come back to you based on what we're offered from the underwriters, and then we come back to you guys for approval, and then roughly about 30 days thereafter, it'll be closed.
I'm gonna have a happy woman at home. This is the first time with a relaxed dates like this. Good job to all of y'all. Because we
That's your
were
birthday?
always the last minute. No, my anniversary.
Oh, anniversary.
We had a meeting on my anniversary every year.
I've come here during dinner, if you remember that.
Not my problem.
I'd like to add, I mean, the bulk of the funds that we're looking at borrowing is obviously for water rights and the water well.
Yep.
So as everybody knows, there's a shortage of water. We need to look for alternative sources of water. We are experiencing a growth on both rooftop and commercial side, and that's trending. That trend's going to continue for the next several years. And we don't want to be in a situation where we have to stop issuing permits because we're out of water. And so this is super important.
Have you guys read the article that I
Yes.
forwarded? That tells you how ahead of the game we are if we don't stop the trajectory. So if we weren't here financially, that trajectory would have stopped on its own naturally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then Mayor, I think we've talked about it before. I guess Don, you could probably speak to it as well. But Don's been here 20 years before and came back. But it's when we first got here, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, I think when Mr. Pettis joined the city council as well. I mean, the city management here. You guys were not where you needed to be, and you're turning the corner. But it takes a methodical effort and good leadership and good management.
I have a question on the amount to be borrowed. I know that was a moving target, and I know there was lots of numbers sort of. I mean,
Being crunched.
yeah, and so I guess my question is, how do we end up settling where we did? I know the projects you mentioned are the highest priority projects. Maybe some of that has to do with what's feasible or advisable to borrow given where we're at financially with the city. So I was just kind of curious about that. I'm assuming that's what it is, but it'd be just nice to hear
So
it
we scaled it back to what's really essential that we
Okay.
need now.
now.
And so we cannot afford not to be trying to improve our position on the water situation, on both water rights and the water source, and minimizing the impact on residents. That was the key driver.
Okay.
Anything else above that is going to be a larger impact, and we just couldn't.
So just what we absolutely have to borrow.
Yes, sir.
And
To allow us to continue to grow without stopping the permitting process because we don't have water.
I think the proper word is what we absolutely need for the city. This is the option that we have right now.
Yes.
So those things that we're doing with this, it was whittled down to what do we need today
right.
to stay growing the way we are. At the end of the day, that's it. So they had to scale it down. Otherwise, we'd been a whole different.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
The wish list would have been something like 20-some million.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Mayor and Commissioners, I think when I look at the history of the city from a purely financial perspective, you've done so many excellent things in terms of, getting the ship going in the right course. And the decisions that you're able to make now are ones that will only now move that trajectory upwards, as opposed to really having to turn the direction of the ship. I think you've got that done. Now it's really about, taking off. And I think part of what you want to do is get some of the infrastructure going so that you can accommodate the growth that is kind of in your immediate, right in front of you, knowing that you're going to need more infrastructure probably shortly right after that for bigger pieces to come in terms of development. And so you've kind of gone from, correcting the direction of the ship to now launching, and the launch is such that if you can address these immediate needs, then you'll be in a position to take on the bigger pieces of infrastructure that are going to be needed. But you can talk about these things without having to worry about some of the things you were worried about, 4 and 5 years ago.
You mean no money?
And and at the same time, you're addressing both the utilities and the general fund side. Both of them are getting healthy. The last time the rating agencies looked at the city of Mercedes, they questioned whether or not the city was going to be able to get these things done from a purely financial and management perspective. And I think what they're going to find is not only have you done all the things that you said you were going to do, that they gave you, I think, a pretty big benefit of the doubt, and you've actually proven it out. So I think you've got a lot of credibility now going into this next steps, and that's why I think you can feel comfortable that the rating is going to be maintained, and that you're probably, I would suspect, to get an increase in the rating, a rating upgrade, what we call those technically, it takes about 5 years. Right now, I think what we did was basically prove up the rating that the city currently has. So to move into the next category, probably in another 3 to 5 years, you'll probably be there. They want to see population, they want to see development, they want to see the infrastructure, and you're addressing all of those simultaneously. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Don. So real quick along those lines, Don, I just want to make sure we're clear here in case it isn't. They loaned us money by giving it, and I remember those conversations, right? With a hope and a prayer. What you're saying is that this time around, we're borrowing the money because we can, correct?
Correct.
We're in a better spot.
Much better spot. Yeah.
Right.
Your back's not against the wall at this point in time by any means. But what we still have is about 2 to 3 more years of executing on the plan of getting the general fund back restored to what, prior administration was doing, was instead of money going from the utility fund to the general fund, it was actually going the other way around.
The general fund to the utility.
Right,
In other words, we're just bleeding money, so to speak.
essentially.
And just to be clear, with what you have in mind, city manager, this is gonna help us maintain some of those utilities and improve.
It's a strategic step in the right direction to ensure that we're not caught with a situation where there's a shortage of water and we can't grow.
Absolutely.
And so we want to position ourselves to be continuing to grow without having to stop, without putting a stop on the issuance of permits because of the development. So
And I think that's key, because I think we've been blessed recently with a lot of rain, but I mean, it's not going to last forever. We could get triple digits and be right back where we were at before. So I think it's a hell of an investment. So with that being said, Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make approval for items 5A and B.
I have a
Oh,
motion.
and forego the reading, is that correct?
Yes.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any discussion? And just real quick, just to be clear, there's a lot of infrastructure work that still needs to be done. And they're doing as much of that as they can with existing cash
Right.
that is already positive. So I just want to make sure that the significance of this presentation goes beyond our capability to borrow.
Sir.
We now have money where it belongs in a savings account in the enterprise funds. We now have a enterprise fund that's operating where it can now invest money to fix things where it didn't have that before. And I think we're making full payments on our loans as well.
we are.
So this impact goes way deeper than just, hey, we can borrow now. Because the other side of that question, the hard part of it, Joe, or commissioners, that I wish we could borrow the 30 million to do all the infrastructure. We're just gonna have to do it a little at a time because there's enough money to do it. So I just want to make sure that if there's any citizens listening, nothing's gonna go untouched. It's just that this is to do something that if we don't get water, if we don't get more water, then businesses aren't gonna look at us, so we have to be able to tell them that the water's coming.
Yep.
So that I just want to make that clear, so. Thank you, guys. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I have item 6, adjournment. Anybody want to?
Motion to adjourn, Mayor.
Motion by Commissioner Martinez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. It is 6:51 PM.
There's food in the.
Go